All right, let's start with our exercise 10. So this is actually examples with strings. Now let's take a look. Here, a script, we are asked to write a script that takes a string. So this is a string that actually taken as an input. It has to return this thing. Okay. So the first of all, it is asked that the count of vowels. So how many vowels are in this string? Okay. So let's go here. Finish this one now. So I have already actually saved it here. So this is our A. For example, David Attenborough. Now I want to count how many vowels are there. Okay. So if you remember from our last weeks, okay, we actually learned a function that is called count. Okay. If I write something like count of A, if I want to find how many O are there, for example, say O, it will return me 2 because there are 2 O are is there. So we can do something like this, like for A, E, I, O, U individually. Okay, so for individually, I want to see how many actually uh, vowels are there, then sum them up. Okay, or because I cannot actually just write like this way. Okay, sorry, because it is going to see in this A contains this whole string. Okay, it is not going to individually. Okay, it is going to look at the whole string at a time. Okay, so we cannot do that way. So what we can do something like this, A comma O plus, just copy it. Okay, this is not actually right approach. Still, let's see, we can actually do this for a small amount of time, for a small amount of cases. Okay, let's write something like A I plus count I, A E I O U. We already missed out U. Then I have something like this U. So as you can see, there are total 6 vowels. We can actually see A 1 2 3 4 5 6. So there are total 6 vowels. So it is actually working, but this is not actually a I would not say actually a correct way of writing a program, because you are actually hand coding it, something like that. Okay, so there are actually some better ways, many ways to actually work with in strings. Now I'm not I just want to introduce string to you, so I'm not going to details about a string. There are so many things, I don't want to go into details, but I just want to introduce you to different terminologies in string, so that if you actually ever start working with string, so that you can actually see some familiar things there. Okay, so let's take a look. And there is a function that is called isMember. Okay, last time we saw a function that is called isEqual. Let's take a new function that is called isMember. So what it does, say for example, I have written here something like b is equals to 453. So if I try to find b comma, let's say 5, okay, see what actually happens. So this is our original function, original variable b. So it is going to check if 5 is a member of b individually. Okay, so this is our b, so 5 is checking, so is member is checking this 5 is a member of this one, this one, or this one. So it is giving me 0 1 0. This is not a match, this is a match, and this is not a match. So that is actually providing some kind of logical array. So this is member function checks whether this element is present in this element individually. It is actually does something like that. Okay, it will actually become clear. We can use the same function like isMember for string as well. So our isMember of string A. So this is our original string A, and we want to see if A is a part of that string. So if I write something like this, so you can see it was our original array was like this. So A, when I have a, it is giving me a logical 1. Then again I have a, it is giving me a logical 1. Other elements are 0. So I can actually count there are total 2 if I sum it up. But there is actually, I wanted to do for all the vowels. So we can do something like this. Actually, isMember A, E, I, O, U. And let's see if it works now. But as you can see, it actually works. So it is this A, this output matrix size, output array size is the size of A. And it is going to check, this function is going to check whether all of these elements, individual elements, so individual characters A, E individually are present in A or not. Okay, so it is saying that DA, so A is present. Then it is saying when it finds I I is member here, so it is actually saying that okay, it is actually present there. Then D, I am not asking to looking for D, so it is actually providing 0, and so on. So I believe it is clear. So what we can do then, we can just sum it up. Okay, we can just write something like this, sum of, okay, something like this. So total number is 6. So I can write a one line of code. It's just a single statement instead of writing this individually. Okay, so that actually makes it very clear, very easy. Now just try to practice a little bit by yourself. That will actually make much more sense. For example, if I want to see, there is another one I actually wrote. This is another string. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. So it is a quote from Dumbledore. Now what I am to do is that I want to see if is member. I want to see something different. Like for example, I want to check like XYZ. If XYZ is a part of that matrix, as you can see, there is no XYZ, and the size of the array is 17. Sorry, I made a mistake. It was X. Okay. It was saved as X. Okay, and still, as you can see, there are total. If I write sum of answer, there is total only 1. So this XYZ individually actually came only one time in this whole string. Okay, so I believe it is clear. And the size of this array, size of this whole array is 94, because our original length of our X, that was our original string, was the size of 94. So when you are writing this function that is called is member A comma B, something like that. I'm writing it capital because this is going to be our string. Okay, this is going to be our original string, and the output of this function will be the length of A. Okay, the output of this will be the length of A. Okay, remember these things. Okay, this is actually very important to understand. And we are going to check whether this B is present in this A or not. If B is present in this A or not, it is going to give a logical indexing. Okay. So if B has like 2, 3 or 4 elements, it can have 2, 3 or 4 elements. It is going to check individual. If this is present, this is present, this is present, but the size will be this thing. Okay, I believe it is clear. If not, just try to take a look at again in your own MATLAB. Okay, try to practice a little bit by yourself. I believe it will be clear. Okay, so let's take a look at our, so this is our first question, the count of vowels in the string I have seen. So the next question we have asked is that what is the index of O in this character? What is the index of O? Okay, so if you remember, last time we actually used something that is called find. Say find. Okay, but when it comes to a string, we use something different that is called string find. So string find, I am going to try, this is our string A, and I want to see how many, I want to find the index of O. Okay, our find originally provides this provides the index. So when I'm writing string find, it is going to provide me the index of O in A. So that is 315. So if I write, see here, so this is our here, so this is where our O is. Okay, so this is the index is 13, so it is providing that. Also the index is, there is another O, so it is also providing that. So it is actually providing the all the appearance index of all the appearances of O. If you try to look at something like change it like T, it also giving this, because in 8 and 9 index I have T, and so on. So this is actually called string find. This is another function. Okay, they are actually similar. These types of many functions will actually come in when you are working with string. Like these things, like is member string find. Now before I actually finish this thing, I want to introduce you to another some interesting function. Let's take a look. Okay, the third question actually says that the string removing all the vowels. Okay, I want to get this string but removing all the vowels. Okay, so we have done something like, this is our A. Okay, I want to remove the string of, I want to remove all the occurrences of the vowels in this string. Okay, so one way to do that is that, so let's write it here. If you remember, when I did that, and if I write it, run it, let's save it first at exercise 10, exercise 2, 10. Okay. When I write it, I am getting this logical array. Okay, it is giving me 1 when I have a vowel present in that original string. Now what I want to do is that I want to take out the elements of this A that are not 1. Okay, if you remember something, if I write A of Z, I will get only the vowels. So these are the vowels that are present here. But I want something that is A that is not Z. Okay, if you use this sign, this is actually not sign. Not you don't have to write equal sign, only this. Okay, this shape. Okay, this actually means not. Then it is going to return me the these things that are 0. Okay, so if I write something like this, so it is actually returning me the strings that are actually 0. That means only the consonants, not the vowels. Okay, so we can write something like this. So our T1, that was our, sorry, it was our task 3 probably. Task 3 would be A, that is not Z, not Z. Okay, so I believe it is clear, and if I run it, we are getting the output. Now let's introduce a different approach. Okay, so is member sometimes there is some better functions that will work much better than is member. Okay, and so that is what we call, okay, let's see, T3 of 2, that is what we call regular expression replace. Okay, let me write it here. This stands for regular expression. Expression. So if you actually work with strings in your, say, research or things like that, this is actually a very common thing you will find. Almost every programming language actually provides some built-in functions and operators to work with these things, and this is actually a bit complicated. Okay, this is actually complex because working with string is a bit complex. So I'm just want to give you a overall idea, overall introduction to some of the things. Okay, so what we actually write here is something that is called regular expression replace. Okay, let's see what it does. So this is our A. Okay, I write here, and regular expression replace, what it does is that it is going to take, this is the first string that I want to do something work with, do something it. I want to replace something. Okay, what I want to replace, A, E, I, O, U. Say for example, for now I just want to replace the A. For example, for simplicity, let's write it something this way. So let's write it here then. Let's write it here. So from A, I want to replace the A. Okay, replace with what? I want to replace with nothing. That means an empty string. Okay, so if I do something like this, and let's see what actually happens. As you can see, this was our original array, David Attenborough, and all the A is vanished. Okay, so all the A are actually vanished. Okay, this is how the regular expression replaces that. Thus, it is looking at this expression, this regular expression, and replacing these things with this thing. Okay, if I write it here, regular expression replace. Okay, this is our string. Okay, this is our expression. This is what you're going to replace with. Okay, so this is our original string. In that string, I want to, this is our expression, what I want to actually replace, and what to replace with. I am replacing with empty string. Okay, so say for example, if I want to write something like, instead of empty, if I write this asterisk, I want to replace the occurrences of A with an asterisk. You'll see it is actually going to provide an asterisk with this. Okay, and this way we can actually work with regular expression replace. Now this is actually a very widely used, this regular expression is very widely used. There is no limit of those things, how we can actually implement those things. I'm going to show you later on, but let's complete our task first. What we wanted to do is that from this string, I wanted to replace all the vowels. So when you want to work something like this, I want to do something like A, E, I, O, U, but this will not work. Okay, this is not working because it is going to look at this as a whole string. Okay, I have to look at this as an individual strings, things like that. Okay, so I have to place like this. Okay, this thing. I have to place everything inside a third bracket. Okay, so when I place inside a third bracket or this square brackets, it is going to consider each and one of them individually. Then if I write it here, so I'm going to replace all the occurrences of the vowels with this and this asterisk. And if I replace this thing, so this is what I'm going to get. And this was asked in your sorry, so this was asked in your question, so this is the output. Okay, so just to actually, I don't want you to go into details, you don't have to go into details, just know the very basic things. Okay, very fundamental things. This is actually the very basics of working with regular expressions. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. I have asked you to do something like removing all the letters from A to J. So previously from A I have removed only the vowels, but now I want to remove the letters from A to J. So let's take a look. So I can write something like this: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, things like that. And it is actually working. So this was our D. It is here. So it is actually removed. A, it is also removed. V is not within the range, so it is not removed, and so on. But there is actually a better way to do that. Instead of doing something like this, I can just write a dash. That means from A to J, from A to J, all the elements will be removed. Okay, so this is the same thing. Okay, as you can see, there are actually lots of things that are actually and that can be done with strings, and there are so these things, just the basic things, just know these things. I think that will be enough. Okay, then the string removing all the consonants. Okay, so how can we have removed the vowels? So how to remove the consonants from it as well? So uh, we can actually use, you can actually use this is member option, or also you can use write something like inside this you can write B, C, D, E, F, sorry, U, only the consonants you can write it here and it will work just fine. Okay, let me show you. B, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, Z. So everything is written here. If you see, all these things are actually removed. Okay, again, if you see, this is not actually a hard coding, this looks like a hard coding, so there should be a better approach to do it, and obviously there is a better approach. And this is the last example I'm going to show you. If you're actually thinking like this is too much, so don't worry about it, just take a look. I just want to introduce you to these things. So what we can do here, we can write A to Z. If I write A to Z, what it is going to take, it is going to replace everything with A to Z, right? So there is going to be empty string. So there is something still here, that is a space. There was a space there. I have removed everything from A to Z, but you have not removed the space, so it is still there. Okay. But what do you want to do? I want to remove only the consonants, but keeping the vowel. Okay, so I have to give something extra. So I am going to place some extra condition here. So I have written a parenthesis. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this sign, hot. Okay, this is actually the syntax. Then I'm going to use this. Then I'm going to write something like that actually stands for A, E, I, O, U. See if it actually works. No, it is not working because I have made a mistake. It should be like this, I think. Okay, now it is working. So I have to place everything, because I have to place everything inside a third bracket. And this portion in particular, this is actually saying that replace everything that is here within this A to Z except only things that I'm actually writing here. So this is the except sign for these things. Okay, it is actually returning this way. Okay, I believe it is actually clear.